Okay, so then we can start and please just remind your friends to also join, right? Okay, so today we're going to do a development environment setup and we're going to handle um, different segments. So we'll handle VS Code, we're going to handle Flutter and Dart, and we're going to handle my SQL, which is the database section. So, welcome to this session. Now, today marks the beginning of an exciting journey into a cross-platform mobile application development, right? So, before we begin, we first need to prepare our development environment. So, just think of today's lesson as laying the foundation of a house, all right? Um, if the foundation is strong, everything we build on top of it will definitely be stable and it will be also very much easier to manage. So by the end of today's lesson, at least each one of you should have some of these environments installed and understand how the different frameworks operate, all right? And then we'll be able to successfully run our application. Now, before we even go further, I'd like to ask a question. So, how many of you have ever used a mobile application? Let's say WhatsApp, TikTok, Uber, Instagram, or Facebook. I'm pretty sure um, we are familiar with some of these applications, right? And so, do you think the developers wrote separate code for example, Android and another different, completely different code for iPhone? Maybe you can just respond to the chat so that we can be able to understand. For the different applications, the mobile application that you're using, it could be Uber, it could be Kilimall, it could be Jumia. So, do you think the developers wrote separate code for Android? Because when you're talking about mobile applications, these mobile applications run on different operating systems, right? And so we have the Android operating system, which is our normal Infinix, Technos, Oppos, Samsung, those are Android phones. And then we have the iPhones, which run on iOS, right? So do you think when a developer is building this application, are they writing separate code for both the Android application and a separate different code for the iPhone applications? Uh-huh. What do you think? Are they different codes or are they the same codes? Maybe I can just you can just slip into the chat so that I see what you think. Uh-huh. Let's quickly channel in our thoughts into the chat because of time. So, do you think the mobile application codes, the codes that were used to develop this app, were separate for Android app and a separate code for iOS, or do you think it's just one code that has been used to run through these different platforms? What do you think? Sorry, I closed the chat, but it's now open. You can channel in the answers. Okay, Felix is saying same code, all right. Maxwell is also saying it's the same. Okay, remember, we are building an application on different operating systems. I know it might be a little bit confusing, but I don't want you to overthink. Just say whatever maybe you think how the codes are run or developed. Maybe others are still in confusion. But so let me just clarify. Now, years ago, that was exactly how software development works, right? Now, if you wanted an Android application, you wrote it in a particular language, all right? So for Android apps, you'd write the code in Java or Kotlin. I believe we've had Java. Okay, so we have the Java restaurant, but now this is Java programming language, right? Now, but if you wanted an iPhone application, you had to write it again in Swift or Objective-C. So these are just languages that I used to build these mobile applications. So you can imagine if I had to build an Uber application, so I had to write for an Android application, I write it in Java or Kotlin, and then write a separate different code for the iPhone using Swift or Objective-C. So can you imagine building the same application but twice? That's double the work, right? And it's double the maintenance and it's double the bugs because bugs are part and parcel when it comes to building applications. But fortunately today, we have modern frameworks that allow us to write one code base and deploy it on multiple platforms. All right. Now that's easy because I now don't need to write separate codes for the separate operating systems, right? Now, one of the most popular frameworks for this is called Flutter, and that's what we'll be using as we proceed. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain what that is because now I've just mentioned that Flutter is the framework, but a framework is supported by something else, a programming language, right? So that is the programming language that supports the Flutter framework. But don't worry, by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to differentiate between the two of this. You're going to describe how Flutter uses that. We're going to install these environments and verify their installation. So what is that, for example? Let me just look at my slide. Right. Yeah, okay, there. Yeah. So let's begin by understanding what that is. Okay. Before you can drive a car, I just want to use this logic. You need to understand first the engine. Okay. Because you just can't get into a car and press the acceleration. Then without understanding the architecture or rather how the engine operates. Okay. And this is for those who've maybe driven manual cars, as you are you see the transmission system, right? If it's a manual car, you need to understand when you're going to initiate gear 2 from gear 1 and to gear 3 and to gear 4 and so on and so forth, right? Now, for you to make such moves, you need to understand how the engine is receiving these impulses because you just can't initiate gear 1 then move to gear 3. Yeah. The engine is going to knock and that's a mechanical problem now. So similarly, before we learn Flutter, because I told you Flutter is the framework, we're going to take you through understanding now the Dart programming language. So Dart is the engine, all right? So Dart is a programming language developed by Google. So just like Java, just like Python, just like JavaScript, Dart is simply another programming language. And its main purpose is to build modern applications quickly and efficiently. efficiently. All right. So maybe one question I would like to ask is, so why didn't Flutter use Java, for example? Or why didn't Flutter use JavaScript? Okay. So the answer is very simple. Google wanted complete control over performance. And so they wanted a language specifically designed to work perfectly with Flutter. So they created the Dart programming language. Now look at this analogy. Imagine you're buying a phone. The operating system and the hardware are designed to work together. Now that's exactly what happened here. Flutter and Dart were designed to work together. Okay? And that's why both of them are compatible. Okay? So some of the important features of that is number one, it's easy to learn, it's fast, and you're going to see that. It is very safe. It is object oriented. So there's a principle called OOP. It's a very sweet principle. I'll be happy to take you through that and you'll be able to understand. And the most important thing is it provides a cross platform. So, what does a cross platform mean? It means that we have one code base that can be able to run across the different operating systems. So, that's why you can just write one code, all right, and that application will be able to run on both iOS and Android uh, applications or environments. Okay. So yeah, I think the next thing, let me just take you through installing these environments. So number one, we are going to install Flutter SDK. Okay. And then we are going to also install that SDK. Then later on, we're going to install MySQL because now it's going to handle our database side. Okay. And yeah, I think that's what we're going to do today. And we're also going to be able to understand how the different environments do operate separately. Now, for us to install these tools or these environments, we need to, because I understand we are all using different operating systems. Yeah. So some of us are using Windows, maybe some are using Linux, and some are using Mac OS. So if you're using either of the machines, the installation process is probably not the same. So maybe from the chat, um, are we using, okay, see Hillary saying we are all using Windows. So is it okay? All are using Windows so that I can just take you through one installation process. Okay. So, yeah, when you look in the LMS, there is a link that is there. Let me just share mine. Now, that link will navigate you straight into the manual installation of Flutter. Okay, so when you come here, so on the Windows installation, I want you to click this link. It's going to take you here, installing Flutter. Okay, so once you get here, just click this link it is going to download the zip file for Flutter. The process takes, depending on your internet stability, it's going to take maybe some time because it's around 1.8 to 2 GB. So depending how fast your internet is, it's going to determine how fast it is going to be installed. So I think let's all do that. Yeah, when you click on it, it should be able to just take you. It will download. So look, when I click on mine, you should be able to see the download process starting here. Okay, so I believe the download process has begun for everyone, and so if that's the case, we can just continue as as we wait for it to begin. So where do we click on the LMS? There's a link there. So let me just go back to the LMS. So when you come here to Windows installation, this is day 3. You should be able to click on this. Flutter Dev Docs Get Started Install Windows. This is the link which we are going to click. Or rather, I can just also just send the link directly here in the chat. So for us to go through this running Flutter Doctor, Flutter needs to be installed so that we can be able to see how all this is happening. So as we install as we install Flutter, uh, I just told you that Flutter and Dart programming language, they work hand in hand. Okay, so when you install Flutter, the Dart SDK comes bundled with it. So you really don't need to install Dart separately. Maybe if your only goal is to use Flutter, because Flutter solely relies on Dart to compile your code natively into machine code. Okay, so including that just ensures that you have the correct version that is compatible with the version of Flutter that you just downloaded. But maybe you may want to separate to install or rather have a separate Dart installation. So if you want to do that, if you want to use Dart programming language independently of Flutter, then maybe you can use the CLI, write some commands that you can be able to install that programming language. But that's double work. There's no need. So we'll just be a little bit patient for it to download. So I think we can just continue. Once it's done, you can just react, or rather let me know in the chat, then we can continue from there. So quickly, let me just take you through. So we'll get to this once installation is done, and also this, and also that. But let me just take you through what hot reload and hot restart does. Now, that programming language is a very high performance programming language. Now, that has two ways of running code. So one is during development, and the other is when your application is ready for users. So that is when now you want to go into production. Okay. So imagine when you're building applications, right? So that language lets us see the changes almost instantly. For those who have maybe interacted with HTML and CSS, okay, and you run your live server, so each time you make changes in your code, it automatically reflects the changes on the website, right? So exactly, also that does that. So it lets you see the changes almost instantly. And then when you get now to production, or rather when you want to publish, when you're ready, it now converts everything into highly optimized machine code. But let me take you through hot reload. So I believe everyone here has used Microsoft Word before, or maybe Google Docs, right? So imagine when you type a paragraph, okay? Every single time you type to one sentence, then Word closed, it saved, it reopens, and then it shows your changes. Now, just from that process which I've just said, is that really a comfortable way of using that application? You just type one sentence, the Word application closes, it gets saved, it reopens, and then it shows your changes. That's really not enjoyable. So, and also that would waste a lot of time. But so Flutter solved this problem using the hot reload functionality. So each time you edit your code, it is saved automatically, and then the changes appear instantly. So you don't need to restart the application, and you don't need, or rather, in that case, you won't be able to lose your progress. Flutter simply just updates all the parts that you have changed. All right. Yeah. So I see some questions. Most of the trainees have not yet set up Flutter. Can we guide them step by step, please? Okay. So the first step is just for us to make sure that it is first the Flutter application is installed. So after download, sorry, not installation, but downloading. Once it's downloaded as a zip file, I want to take you through the next process from here. So I'll just be waiting for your confirmation, or rather for someone who has already okay. Okay. Yeah, we can use Felix. So I think, Felix, let me give you a chance to share your screen so that I can walk you through the installation together. Hey, Felix, you're promoted. So can you try sharing your screen? So first of all, we need to unzip the file. So I believe you did that. No, go back again, go to the downloads folder. No, go back to download so that I confirm we are not inside the great. So we first need to unzip. So I just want you to right click, extract all. It's no extract all. Yeah, there. Good. Extract. So whoever has the Flutter download complete, please follow along with us. Okay, great. So Flutter is already installed. The next thing, we want to set up the environment variables into the system path so that our machine can be able to recognize that we have a Flutter SDK inside our machine. So the next thing you're going to do, you're going to open the bin folder. So maybe just go back to downloads again so that you confirm that you're inside the folder and not the zip file. So I want to click the second one, the second Flutter Windows. Yeah, that one. Enter. Get into Flutter. Now, there is a bin folder somewhere. So just scroll down until you see bin. Yeah, there you go. Now just click on it. Nice. So I want us to copy the directory of the bin. So on the very top where we have the directory downloads, on the very top, we have downloads, Flutter Windows, Flutter, then bin. On the very top. No, no, no. You see where we have the search bar. So yeah, so click an empty space just next to it. Rather, where there's that arrow after the bin on top, I want us to look at the directory. Directory is the path that is showing us where our current location. Great, yeah, on top there, exactly. So I want to just to click next to the bin. No, not there, an empty space just next to it. Side. Yes, there, good. So once you click there, it's going to highlight the entire path. So I want you to copy, just Control C to copy the path. Once that is done, now I want us to open the environment variables. So just click on the Windows icon, or rather even in the search bar, it's still okay. Then I want to search type environment variables. Just type. Okay, nice, there. Click the first one. Great. So click on environment variables at the very bottom. Yes, there. And so we want to copy that path into the system variables. So where there's written path on the system variables. No, 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 not that one. The second section. We have system variables, then we have path. Yes, there. Click edit. Nice. We want to input a new path. All right. So click on new. New, it's on the top right. Great. Then now paste the path that we had copied. So just Control V. Great. So click OK. OK again. OK, it's on the bottom there. Final OK. Nice. So our Flutter SDK is now in the system variables. So we want to confirm whether this has been done correctly. So I want you to open CMD, the command prompt. Just type CMD. Great, open. And I want you to type Flutter space dash dash version. Dashes, then version. That's an underscore you've input there. It should be a dash or a hyphen. Let me say hyphen. Version. Click enter. So it's going to install all the packages and all the necessary dependencies that will be required when you're building a Flutter-based project. So it's going to do all that for you. Okay. So the next thing, so everything has been installed. We have the version of that. So you see, upon downloading Flutter, it comes with Dart itself. So let's confirm whether we have Dart, for example. So just type Dart space dash dash version as well. There should be a space between Dart and the hyphens. Yes. Click enter. Great. So you see, we have Flutter installed and we have the Dart SDK installed. So the next command, maybe you can use type flutter doctor. No, this time that doesn't have an hyphen. It's just flutter space and doctor. Enter. The doctor gives you a summary of everything that is readily available um, for development, the environments that you may need, because I told you Flutter is just one code base that can be able to run code on different applications, that is iOS and Android. So right now, we have a problem in Android toolchain because we have not downloaded the Android SDK, but that's not a problem because we can still just use VS Code to run our Flutter code. And what else? We also have Visual Studio Code is not installed. Uh-huh. So I think maybe that's if you have VS Code, then that should not be appearing. But if you have VS Code, then we'll just need to install how do you call it? We need to install Flutter from in VS Code, but everything is okay now. That's not a problem for now. If you're running it on macOS or Linux, you also have separate issues. So if you're running, for example, on macOS, you will be needed to install Xcode. So also that's a separate toolkit that is able to accommodate the iOS version of your Flutter code. Okay, but everything is okay. Felix on your side, everything is installed. I think you're ready to go. So just before you stop sharing your screen, I don't understand maybe who is left behind or who has a problem, who is facing a problem somewhere. Anyone who is facing any issues, any step that you feel maybe you've missed, installation. Okay, so let me just think there are some questions here. Let me check. Why does it say Visual Studio Code is not installed? This is necessary to develop Windows apps, yet I have Visual Studio on my laptop. Okay, so that means is that we, f- because now Flutter is very powerful. I've told you it can run from one code base, different platforms, right? So that is iOS, that is Android, that is Windows, and Mac operating system applications. So what that is saying is that for you to be able to build Windows desktop applications, then you need to install the desktop development with C++. Okay. You need desktop development with C++. So that's the issue. It's not that you have Visual Studio Code. Yes, you have it. Just that that is just an IDE for you to run your code. But now, if you want to build Windows specific, because right now, if you go to Microsoft Store, so Microsoft Store has Windows applications. Okay, those who are using macOS, you have the App Store. Okay, so you are building these separate applications. So that's the reason why. But right now, we'll only be focusing on building um, applications that can run on mobile. We will not be focusing on Windows or Mac OS applications, but we'll be focusing on Android mostly, most of the time. Android and maybe iOS. So that's the reason why it's saying the error on Visual Studio Code. Repeat the procedure. Okay, so when you type Flutter version CMD, mine says not recognized as an internal, external program or batch file. Does it mean I did not finish up the process? Did you, because if it says it's not recognizable, it means the system does not recognize the term Flutter. So maybe I would ask, have you inserted the system path in the system environment variables? So that's the problem. Downloading Flutter itself does not mean that the machine will automatically know that you want to build a Flutter project. So you have to give them a heads up by inputting that system path in the system environment variables. Yeah. But do you know the process, or should we help you navigate from there with Felix? Okay, so maybe I think we can do it one more time. We have, I see time is running and we have a lot to cover. So, Felix, just go back to your file explorer. So, downloads. Okay, so please don't mistake this. Once you have already downloaded the zip file, don't directly enter into the zipped folder and look for the bin. You know what a zipped file means? If you have your clothes inside a bag and you've closed it with your zip, are you able to access your clothes when your bag is zipped? You can't. So you need to first open the zip and access your clothes. So that's exactly what you're doing. So you need to extract the files in your zipped folder. So you just come to your zipped folder, right click on it, and extract all files. Once that is done, a new folder will be able to be generated. Now, this new folder is unzipped, as you can see on Felix screen. Now, that is the folder which we want to get to and look for the bin folder. So when you enter into that unzipped folder, Felix can just enter. You'll get into Flutter as well. Then look for the word bin, like dustbin. So bin, yeah. And then you will click on it. Then once it's done, we want to copy the system path because we want to tell the computer that for you to get whatever is necessary for our Flutter application, this is where you can get it. So we are telling the computer, or rather we are giving the computer the location of where the resources that are needed for development are stored. So in that case, we are going to copy the entire file path of the directory. So you just come next to the bin, click an empty space. It is going to highlight the entire um, uh, path. It's going to copy the entire path. Then you just copy by clicking Control C. Once it highlights, copy it by clicking Control C. And then the next thing, you enter into the environment variables. So just open Windows, then type environment variables. Then the first one which displays, click on it. Then navigate to environment variables at the bottom. Okay. Then we are inputting this path in the system variables. Please do not confuse with the upper section. Those are user variables. We are inputting the path in the system variables. So you look for the term path and then click on edit. Then once that is done, we are now inputting a new path. So you'll click on new, then you're going to paste the copied file path. All right. Yeah, so just click on new and then you're going to paste it there. So Felix does not need to repeat because he has already done it. Then once that is done, you can now confirm whether Flutter has been installed and is recognizable by your machine by typing in the commands in your command prompt, which is flutter dash dash version. So that's the command which is going to verify that Flutter is installed. Then once it is recognizable, it's going to show you all the compatible components that it has come along with, including Dart SDK. So right now, Flutter comes with Dart. It comes with the Dart bundled with it altogether. So I think up to there, we should be all okay. Now, because of time, we need to run a bit fast. So the next thing, I'd want us to create a basic Flutter project. Then I'm going to show you the structure. When you create a project, what does it come with? All right, so You will open the control panel. Now, we want to create a new Flutter project. So when you create a Flutter project, there are some things that you need to follow. Number one, you need to use the Flutter keyword, then create, and then the name of your application that you want to build. That's the first step. Then number two, you're going to change the directory from where you've created um, your folder or your project, and now you want to get into that project's folder directly. And then whether you have an emulator connected or not, you can be able to do that simulation. And then we are going to run our application and see what is going to be output. So I'll just do it. You can work with me. So, This is a Mac OS, but the steps are pretty the same, so don't worry. Now, first things first, we are going to um, define where exactly do you want to create our project. So if you want to create the project on desktop, on downloads, whichever, you need to specify where you want your project to be hosted on. So for example, mine, I'll just navigate to my desktop folder. Now it shows me my working directory. The next thing, I'm now going to now create that project. Okay. So I'll say Flutter create. The name of my app, let me say, for example, my first app. Okay, let me just follow the instructions there. So my first app, then click enter. So once you create, sorry, once you create your application, okay, my first app is not a valid that. Try my first app. Okay, okay. So the reason why it's doing this, Flutter normally suggests that you use lower cases when you're creating your app. So the fact that I've used a capital M there, I think it has created a problem. So I'll just redo it again. So let me say my first app should be in lowercase. And we should be able to now create the app. Okay, that's good. Now, what it's doing, Flutter now creates the entire project files and the folders that are necessary when you're creating a Flutter project. And this also includes the dependencies that will be needed when you're running your application. Okay. Now, our project has been built. So the next thing, we need to navigate inside that projects folder. So you can see right now I'm in my desktop. So the next thing, I just change my directory to my first application, and then I'll click OK. Once you are inside your folder, um, you can easily just navigate um, into VS Code directly by writing code space and full stop. So this won't directly function on my side, but on your Windows, it should be able to run directly. But I'll just open my development kit and you can be able to see the folder that has been created. So let me just open my new folder. Okay, I think everyone should be there. Just trying to fix something here real quick. Running Flutter create my first app. What next? So the next thing you need to change the directory to where your folder is exactly. So in my case, rather even in your case, you need to write this command, cd into my first app. That's where you need to be. Great. So your Flutter project should be like this, that application of yours. So you see, it's that's your app's name there. And then these are the necessary folders that you'll be interacting with. So as you can see, we have the Android folder. So if you want to I mean, you're building an Android application, you'll be using that folder. Then we have iOS for the iPhones and yeah, mobile applications. The lib folder is our main project, which has the main file which we'll be using. If you want to create Linux operating system applications, you also use that one. For macOS as well, we have web and Windows, etc., etc. And we also have the pubspec .yml. So that's where our dependencies will be stored there. So this is just the entire structure of how your basic um, Dart project looks like. So my the main Dart, this is where this is our foundation now of our application. Everything lies here on this file. Now, what I want you to do next, I want you to run this file. So we are not making any modifications, but I just want us to run it so that you can be able to see um, how the application is launched. Okay, so you just come here and say Flutter run command. Don't worry, I'm using PyCharm, but if you're using VS Code, the commands are still the same, everything is the same. So just say Flutter run, then click on enter. It is going to show you the different places where you can be able to like test run your application. So for me, here are my choices. So I can run it on desktop, which is on my macOS, and I can also run it on web. So I'll just choose web for now. I don't have any emulators currently configured, so that's why it's saying this. Now, depending on where you want to run your application, you can choose so either one or two. So I'm going to select two on Chrome, and then it's going to debug and launch. Uh, it's going to launch the application on Chrome. So let's just give it a second to finish up. Okay, so this is how your application basically looks like right now. Okay, this is the interface of how it looks. So each time you run your code, this is how it is launched. So we have a button here, which is has been set to increment values, and all its functionality you can be able to see it in the main .dat file. And then we have some Flutter commands, which are very basic. You remember when I was speaking about the hot restart and the hot reload? So when you come on this section in your terminal, you'll be able to see those commands that you can use to do this. So anytime you make a change on your code base, you don't need to manually come here and like refresh so that you can be able to see your changes. No, you don't need to do that. So you can just use these characters here uh, on this side in your terminal. So once your app is launched, these commands automatically appear here to help you navigate throughout the different processes that you want uh, to run. So if it's this is for hot reload, we have hot restart. If you want to do a heavy restart on your application, okay. So we have H, which lists all the available interactive commands. We have D to detach. So detach means that you want to exit, or rather you want to leave uh, the application downside, but you don't want to terminate it. You want to leave it to run, but it won't affect anything that you make or the changes that you'll be making in your code base. Then we have C, which is going to clear everything in your terminal. And then we have Q. Now Q will now terminate the entire application that you're running. Okay, so for example, right now you see this one is already launched here, but when I click on Q, it's going to terminate the application. And that's how you run your simple mobile um, or rather Flutter application. Okay. Huh. So quickly, let me take you through the project structure of a Flutter project. Okay. So on the very top is the name of your application. Okay. So that's the root directory. So each time you create a Flutter project, on the very top of your workspace, that's what is going to be listed. And then number two, we have the lib folder, which has our main.dat file. So this is where all custom data application code lives. So I've told you this is what now creates the foundation of our application. And then we have Android and iOS folders. So this is whereby you need to make specific configuration for the different application or rather mobile application platforms. Because I want to do the same configuration for Android, the configuration for Android won't be the same for iOS. They are different. So I need just to work on those different folders to make sure that in as much as we are all running in a single code base, that we have specific configs for each operating system. And then we have the test folder, which in the test folder, now that is used for testing the environment and everything of your application. Then finally, we have the pub spec. Now here is where all our dependencies live. So each time you make a change in your application, um, we need to have compatible features that can be able to run your application effectively. And all those changes are done in the pub spec file or folder. Okay, and I think that's done on about Flutter. So I think MySQL is a completely new uh, concept or when focusing on the database. And I think this will just have another separate time for us to to focus on. But yeah, so what we do, so I want to explain much in MySQL, but let's first have it installed in our machines. Let's first have it installed, and then we can talk about other things later, right? So quickly, let me send you a link where you can easily download uh, MySQL. So I'm sending the link in the chat. Maybe. Can you just confirm whether you have MySQL installed already in your machines? Because I think you had a session on database. Okay. Not yet. Who else? So that we can know the number and I take you through it. So if you didn't have MySQL installed, please just use the link to download it. Okay. So what are some of the commands we need to run to confirm? Okay, so for that one, you can use this command, MySQL dash V. That one will tell you the version of MySQL that you have. Which version should we download among the two? So that one, you can use any, but use the second one. The one with 565.9 million downloads. You can use that one to download. If you're done, please just let me know here in the chat. You can just write it down that I can know you are complete. And I continue from the page because I want us to begin from where I have shared my screen altogether. Okay, Felix. Anyone else? The file is not that big. It's about 600 MB, so it shouldn't take much of your time. So once it has installed, locate it on your downloads folder, then double click on it. Once you double click, a prompt will display. Do you want to allow this app to make changes? Click yes. And then this startup screen on choosing the setup type will be displayed. So I want you, when you get there, just wait so that we move on from that phase together. It's showing another install is on process. Just check if there's anything which is running in your background that is interfering with the normal installation. Okay, so just allow me to continue. Okay, now we are on the same page. Okay, nice. So just allow me to continue from there. When you come to this section on choosing a setup type, let me just take you through each um, a bit quick first. So this is we have the developer. Sorry. So we have this server only, which installs only the database server. So it doesn't have any graphical interface. Then we have the client only. So that one installs the tools that connect to databases, and it has no servers. Okay. And then we have the full, which installs every available component that is useful for database administrators. But that's a bit complex. It's necessary for beginners. Then we have custom, which, which now lets you choose individual component manually. So you can. Well, let's go with full. Mhm. Then you're going to click on execute. Then you're going to give it some time so that the progress gets to 100 on all products. Okay, so this is going to take a bit some time. Okay, so as we wait for the MySQL to finish, because it's going to consume our limited remaining time, let's just jump straight into Python. do some configurations in it, then we can call it a day. We'll do maybe a catch-up session so that we finish up on what we've left. All right, so where is it?
from hii side imetik zote.
I had muted all this while. No, okay. So thank you guys for your time. I hope I'll meet you in the next one. We'll organize a catch-up session. Ndio we continue from where we've left. Okay, that's all. Bye bye.